was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you did not forget me. I was homeless, and you gave me shelter. I was suffering, and you walked with me. When my heart was weary, you listened to me. Our statement of purpose is that we gather from a variety of traditions to express our gratitude for the positive work of our legislators in this past year. At the same time, we lament that our lack of courage and disinformation has hindered the ability for all people in our beloved community to have lives lived in dignity. Both gratitude and lament motivate our work and ground our hope for what may come in this new year. We gather as a people committed to honoring the dignity of each human being. We gather as people committed to creating a society where all are treated fairly and are given equal opportunity. We are gathered as a community committed to caring and responsible stewardship for all of the earth. We are committed to working toward a future where we understand our diversity to be a blessing. We are committed to a belief that together we are stronger, and that as a statewide community, we can do better in taking care of one another.
Since the beginning of time, humans like us have experienced a range of feelings and emotions. As people of faith throughout the millennia, we have often expressed our feelings and emotions through gratitude and lament. In the midst of what we can imagine was great lament, I hear in my mind's ear those ancient words from Jewish tradition that say, "Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because of God's great love, we are not consumed. God's mercies are new every morning." Through this service experience of gratitude, lament, and hope, we will seek from several different faith traditions to express our gratitude for the work of justice and equity that's been accomplished, and we will share our laments for what we yet yearn to be different. In expressing our gratitude and laments, may we experience, as those throughout time have, may we experience still some hope for today. In the spirit of gratitude, we want to thank those who have helped make today's service experience possible. So thank you to our musicians, and thank you as well to the Colorado Council of Churches, Capitol Hill United Ministries, the Women's Homelessness Initiative, Interfaith Alliance of Colorado, the Episcopal Church in Colorado, the Lutheran Advocacy Ministry of Colorado, the Presbytery of Denver, the Ecumenical Catholic Communion, the Unitarian Universalist Faith Leader Council for Racial Justice, and the many others without whom today's service would not have been possible. I always like to say that there is far more we can do together than any of us can do on our own. This virtual service is a testimony to such collaborative work. At any point during our experience, please share in the chat bar a gratitude that you have, or perhaps a lament, or maybe you can share something that gives you hope. For now, may we have ears to hear that which may speak to us each and all.
Greetings, Faithful Thursdays community. My name is Peter Severson. I'm the Director of Lutheran Advocacy for the Rocky Mountain Synod, ELCA, and I'm offering this musical selection today, Wade in the Water, which is a spiritual in the African American Jubilee tradition and a beloved hymn in many communities of faith. We hope that it supports and enlivens this Faithful Thursdays gathering and our connections to and among one another and our communities throughout this upcoming legislative session. God's gonna trouble the water. coming down on me. God's gonna trouble the water. Why don't you wait in the water? Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. If you don't believe I've been redeemed, God's gonna trouble the water. Just follow me down to Jordan stream. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Why don't you wade in the water? Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Greetings and blessings to you all. I am Adrian Miller, the Executive Director of the Colorado Council of Churches, and it is my pleasure to be your guide as we gather in this moment to express our gratitude, lament, and hope for the 2022 legislative session of the Colorado General Assembly. Just before we move into our program, I just want to really appreciate all of you that have arrived in this moment and joined us virtually. Originally, we were going to convene at First Baptist Church, but in care for our community, we moved to a virtual format. And because of that transition, some of this program is going to be recorded and other pieces will be live. But the entire recording of this event will be available later for distribution. So we're so glad that you joined us today. Especially because I think it's important for people of faith to gather and proclaim a prophetic voice and witness in public for justice and love. And speaking of love, let me take a moment to express our love and support for our Jewish community because of the events that happened in Colleyville, Texas over the weekend. Once again, anti-Semitism has shown itself in our society, and we are lovingly embracing the Jewish community, not only in Colorado, but everywhere, because we know that none of us are safe until we're all safe. So I just wanted to take a moment to reflect that. In this program, after I get done giving a welcome, we will have expressions of 7 statements, and they reflect only some of our faith values and public policy priorities. But each time you will hear from a different faith leader who is giving a reflection, and we will have a responsorial, and we will transition into that part of our program. So without further ado, I invite Reverend Ken Brown, pastor of Trinity United Methodist Church in Denver, Colorado, to begin with our first statement.
As communities of faith and individuals who care for the safety and well-being of our society, we appreciate the 2021 state legislation that addresses earth care. We express gratitude for the funding of an agricultural, drought, and climate resilience office to address and mitigate agricultural, climate-related issues. In doing so, we support and assist the many Coloradans who are stewards of our earth. We're also thankful for 2021 legislation that strives to address environmental injustice on disproportionately impacted communities and establishes the Environmental Justice Action Task Force. We lament that ecological concerns for the earth are not being more vigilantly protected by public policy. We lament that climate change research is not taken more seriously. We lament the anticipated negative impact on the environment and on human population if environmental degradation trends are not more proactively addressed by policymakers. We lament that climate change research is not taken more seriously. And we lament the increasing destructiveness of natural disasters, such as target losses in the Marshall fires in the wake of climate change. We stand and hope that the legislative session ahead will find direct and indirect ways to help the state of Colorado mitigate issues and matters that impact climate change. We hope that legislative initiatives will explore all possible avenues that will lead our state towards a more sound and safe approach to earth care. Together, let our gratitude and cries of our heart and our hopes be heard.
As communities of faith and individuals who care for the safety and well-being of our society, we appreciate that the 2021 legislative session addressed behavioral health needs among Coloradans. Additional behavioral health crisis response training and temporary additional rapid response services for youth are critical measures addressing the need for crisis interventions, for which we are thankful. We are grateful for cross-system suicide prevention planning intended to reduce the suicide rates in Colorado. We lament how the stigma of mental illness often becomes an alienating reality that pushes one further into deep and dark places of existence. We lament the increased need for behavioral health care in this time of pandemic, when social supports can be greatly restricted, and that individuals have difficulty accessing behavioral health care. We continue to lament inadequate state funding to support needed public behavioral health services. We stand in hope that the legislative session ahead will find direct and indirect ways to help the state of Colorado explore all opportunities to offer persons suffering with mental illnesses and substance abuse addictions to access resources for care and recovery. Our hope is for behavioral health and wellness for all Coloradans. Let our gratitude, the cries of our hearts, and our hopes be heard. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
As communities of faith and individuals who care for the safety and well-being of our society, we are most grateful for the Colorado Assembly's passage of 6 statewide sensible gun violence prevention laws in its 2021 session. The creation of the Colorado Office of Gun Violence Prevention establishes a way to make these policies as effective as possible. These new laws are critical to the effort to reduce gun violence, and enacting these laws was courageous work. We also express our gratitude for the perseverance of all whose testimony moved us further towards safety. Still, we lament that annual firearm deaths in Colorado have increased by almost 40% since 2014. In 2020, 925 people in Colorado died by firearms, the highest number on record. Suicide accounts for about 70% of those deaths. We lament the loss of all these lives and the pain caused to family, friends, and communities by these needless firearm deaths. We lament that fear led us to purchase about 500,000 new guns in Colorado in 2020. We lament that a sense of powerlessness often prevents us from leading more boldly and courageously to protect Colorado's children, youth, and adults. We stand in hope for additional measures to decrease these statistics and the tragedies borne by gun violence. For example, do-it-yourself ghost guns that evade all regulation have no place in our society. We stand in hope that the legislative session ahead will establish ways to help the state of Colorado reduce gun violence in effective and empowering ways that promote the best protection of our citizenry and build communities of peace. Let our gratitude, the cry of our hearts, and our hopes be heard.
As communities of faith and individuals who care for the safety and well-being of our society, we are grateful to the Colorado General Assembly for its 2021 legislative efforts to lower drug costs, mitigate healthcare costs, and ensure equitable access to affordable healthcare, particularly with the Colorado Option Bill. We lament that despite the progress made, too many Coloradoans still face economic and social barriers to adequate physical and behavioral health care, and thus experience inequitable health outcomes. As an example, communities of color often lack equitable access to COVID-19 testing, treatment, and vaccinations, resulting in worse health impacts in their communities. We lament that healthcare workers continue to be highly stressed by inadequate capacity to treat patients affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And we stand in hope that the legislative session ahead will find direct and indirect ways to help the state of Colorado address these matters in effective and empowering avenues that promote the best health outcomes of all Colorado residents. Let our gratitude, the cries of our heart, and our hopes be heard.
Kama jumuiya za imani na watu binafsi wanaojali usalama na ustawi wa jamii yetu, tunashukuru kwa mkutano mkuu wa Colorado kwa kushughulika masuala ya uhamiaji kwa huruma na heshima kwa watu wote na usikivu kuelekea maadili ya kina ya mila yetu ya imani. Tunashukuru kwamba wabunge wetu wamepokea hadithi za wahamiaji na hivi majuzi walihamasishwa kuunda hazina ya kusaidia mashirika yanayotoa usaidizi wa kisheria na utetezi.
Lamentamos que la intolerancia y los prejuicios puedan impulsar algunas leyes de inmigración que agravan la injusticia hacia las personas, las familias y las comunidades. Lamentamos que demasiadas familias que buscan asilo, refugio y oportunidades enfrenten los efectos dañinos de la separación y la deportación. Tenemos la esperanza de que la próxima sesión legislativa encuentre formas efectivas y empoderadas para promover una ética de cuidado para todas las personas que buscan llamar a Colorado su hogar. Gracias.
Let our gratitude, the cries of our hearts, and our hopes be heard.
As communities of faith and individuals who care for the safety and well-being of our society, we express our gratitude for revised state policies regarding local government authority and state grants to promote affordable housing. We're also grateful for the revised residential tenancy procedures that should address the problem of renter evictions to homelessness. We appreciate subsequent municipality rezoning efforts to increase the number of affordable housing units and policies that provide safe outdoor spaces. We lament that homelessness has reached high levels in our state. We lament that services and resources are not more strongly supported, providing holistic care to families and individuals navigating the dehumanizing nature of living without a place to call home. We further lament that housing costs in Colorado have increased so dramatically that affordable housing is extremely difficult to obtain. We stand in hope that the legislative session ahead will find direct and indirect ways to help the state of Colorado address the rising numbers of people in need of safe, affordable, and sustainable housing. Let our gratitude, the cries of our hearts, and our hopes be heard.
As communities of faith and individuals who care for the safety and well-being of our society, we are grateful that our legislators have addressed different aspects of criminal justice reform in the past several sessions, including record sealing, capital punishment, and policing reform, with robust debate and conversation around the values into which we hope to live in Colorado. We lament that basic human rights are not more fully protected for all members of our communities. We lament that legislative measures negatively target people solely because of their race, gender, religion, culture, sexual orientation, economic status, social status, and more. We lament that people still live in fear because of how they may or may not be accepted in communities. We lament the brokenness in our communities that manifests as criminal behavior, and we lift up both victims and perpetrators as standing in need of reconciliation, support, and restoration. We stand in hope that the legislative session ahead will find direct and indirect ways to help the state of Colorado to lead the way in shaping a criminal justice system that recognizes the inherent dignity and humanity of all people. We hope for a day when all people can live without fear of oppression and can live into the full human potential that resides perpetually within the human spirit. Let our gratitude, the cries of our hearts, and our hopes be heard.
Wow. Amen. I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready to take off this tie and jacket and get to work. But we still have more programs. So at this point, we'll take a couple of minutes and invite you using the chat function to just list your hopes, your gratitude, your lament for the 2022 legislative session. And know that these things will be gathered at a later point and presented to our legislators. So we invite you for a couple of minutes to just express your gratitude, lament, or hope in the chat section while the music softly plays. Thank you for all of the reflections that you put in the chat, some very poignant ones and beautiful ones. So thank you for participating in that way. And now we will have some live speakers. First, we will have a blessing of those who are willing to engage, led by Reverend Paula Steinbacher, moderator of the Presbytery of Denver. And then we will have a litany of imagination, possibility, and hope, led by Haley Anderson, social justice coordinator for the Colorado Council of Churches, and also Jean Demler, PhD, ruling elder of Capitol Heights Presbyterian Church. Reverend Steinbacher.
Fortunate are those who live in comfort, who are willing to be uncomfortable as they move into the lives of others, touching their pain and suffering, either nearby or at a distance. They know that these others are our brothers and sisters. Blessed are the people who are generous of heart, who give of their love, their time, their money, and somehow keep on giving despite disillusionment and disappointment in seeing their efforts go wasted. Blessed are those who can forgive those who are petty, angry, rude, or neurotic, and still seek to find and delight in the good qualities of the people around them. Blessed are those who respect a person as an individual and do not prejudge her because of race, color, ethnicity, or economic background and sexual identity. They do not, therefore, reduce that individual's many good qualities to one rather unessential characteristic. Blessed are you who do not resent the poor, the refugee, the asylum seekers, or the homeless, and who are able to open your eyes and hearts and see them clearly with the eyes of love and see them as yourself. Blessed are those people who are most sensitive to the pain and injustice around them. They help us keep our vision clear. By this example, they help us be patient, loving, and forgiving. They inspire us to keep putting one foot in front of the other in our attempts to walk the path of love. And blessed are you who have committed to work with all peoples, some who are lost, whether they know it or not. Blessed are you who will give your time, talent, and treasure to serve, to educate, and to advocate to those who have power and for those who have none. Blessed are they, and blessed are you.
Our fear, disinformation, and lack of courage has hindered the ability for all peoples to live in dignity with shelter, food, healthcare, and safety.
Imagine spiritual renewal born out of this struggle.
Voices have been silenced or ignored.
Imagine openness to dialogue and compassionate listening, especially of those who are disproportionately suffering the impact of our actions and inactions.
Gifts have been dismissed or overlooked. Justice has been withheld or restricted.
Imagine the day when justice is fully restored.
Immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers, people of color, the homeless, the poor have been turned away.
Imagine all people working together, respecting one another's differences.
Arrogance and abuse of power have caused pain and humiliation.
Imagine compassionate ministry toward those who are marginalized or feel alienated.
In so many ways, the cries of the heart of our people have been dismissed.
Voices are heard, all peoples valued and empowered, and our abundant resources wisely for those in power and not in power alike.
Thank you. And now I will lead us in speaking to our commitment, which is shown on the screen here. And follow along with me. And even though you're muted, please say the commitment along with me. We gather as people committed to honoring the dignity of each human being, committed to creating a society where all are treated fairly and all are given equal opportunity, committed to caring and responsible stewardship for all of the earth, committed to working toward a future where we understand our diversity to be a blessing, committed to a belief that together we are stronger and that as a statewide community, we can do better in taking care of one another. Thank you for joining me. And now I invite Reverend Tamara Boynton, of the Interfaith Alliance of Colorado to lead our next portion of the program.
Everyone, we have shared together our gratitude, lament, and hope around some significant justice and policy issues that are facing our state. We have spoken from our hearts, grounded in our faith-rooted values. These words matter, not only because they've been spoken in sacred, holy, prayerful space, but because they carry with them a larger hope that they might travel from our hearts to your hearts, our hardworking legislators. You too, from your faith-rooted values, also speak and legislate from your hearts and make decisions that impact all of us. We are so grateful today to welcome the following legislators or staff who are either here or who wanted to be here to this sacred space. So I've seen Representative Iman Judah from District 41, welcome. Representative Tom Sullivan from District 37, welcome. Representative Tanya Van Bieber from District 48, Representative Stephanie Luck from District 47, Representative Daphne Michelson-Janae from District 30, Senator Jeff Bridges from Senate District 26, and Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer from Senate District 23. All of these folks either came or dropped in or expressed interest in being here, and that is so significant to have your presence in this space acknowledging the voices and the hearts and the prayers and laments and hopes and gratitude from the faith community. So because we moved this event to Zoom in order to accommodate more people and to take care of each other, we were not able to physically carry our laments across over to the Capitol steps and hand them to you, our legislators, as we had originally envisioned. But your presence here is an honor, and it remains a critical representation of how we do this work together. We share our gratitude, laments, and hopes, and you carry those in your hearts to the Capitol to do the work and to do your very best for all Coloradans. So now we'd like to invite the gathered to watch a recording of this symbolic and significant exchange.
Representative Judah, and members of the 2022 session of Colorado General Assembly. We, members of the greater Colorado community, offer you our gratitude for all your positive work this past year that has improved the lives in our Colorado communities. Thank you. We also share with you the lament of our hearts. The lament of our hearts for the missed opportunities to create more possibilities for all peoples in our beloved community to have lives lived with dignity. We respect the commitment of time, talent, and treasure you have given to do your best for all who live in our state. Your mission is to create legislation that will allow opportunity for all Coloradans to strive towards the good, the productive, and the sacred. We trust that you will have the imagination, courage, and humility to act beyond party, beyond ideology, beyond differences. We hope that you will work across the aisle on behalf of all people in our state. We look to you for inspiration on how we can learn better to work together. We offer our blessing for the work you will be engaged in this year. And never forget that you do make a difference. Hopefully a difference that will be both ethical and positive for Colorado lives. May both gratitude and lament motivate your work and ground your hope for what may come in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you. This, in fact, is the people's building, and this is the temple to democracy. And so with that, and in that spirit, I will definitely take these and apply them to any legislation that I bring, that I vote on, to make sure that that spirit is carried through for Colorado.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Iman, Judah, and all who were there at the Capitol to symbolically pass on those lamentations and hopes to Representative Judah, who will carry them forward. And since Representative Judah is here, I want to invite her to take a moment now and offer up some additional words if she would like to share them with.
Well, good afternoon, Interfaith Alliance and our Interfaith community. It's such an honor to be here again. The Interfaith Alliance, holds a very special place in my heart. My father was on one of the founding boards, and I get to continue that legacy as not only a former board member, but staff, and now as a state legislator, holding up and reaffirming our commitment to interfaith work. I struggled with what I was going to say here today. And as we all know, last week, we honored the legacy and the work and the struggles of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And like every year, the Colorado Democratic Black Caucus passes a MLK resolution for the House and the Senate. And every year, many of our members come to the well and speak about the impact that his message has had on their lives. And the message that I came with was that one of the most impactful quotes that continue to resonate with me today is his saying about, in the end, it will not be the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And on Monday, I had the distinct honor of giving the prayer at the MLK parade and really carrying through that same theme of solidarity. Sadly, some other folks on the other side of the aisle did not uphold that value. And on Wednesday, a member of the Colorado House, in an attempt to align himself and give solidarity with the unfortunate offense that happened at the synagogue in Texas, finished his remarks with, and I quote, "There is hate and evil that emanates from radical, fundamental religious ideologies from the Middle East. It is not okay. It is not okay to wish Christians to be killed. It is not okay to wish Jewish people to be killed because you are not considerate, kind, or accepting of their diversity of worship." Now, clearly, he was speaking about Islam, about Muslims, and this hurt. It hurt that people decided to remain silent. And I can't think of a better group to call upon to advocate for our interfaith communities. There is oftentimes an impenetrable sense of ignorance that marginalized communities will face every single day. And in my role as a state legislator, as the first Muslim, as the first Palestinian, as the first Arab woman, I always welcome and never tired of the opportunity to educate, to be in these spaces, to be that liaison of the most misunderstood religion and region in the world. But at the same time, there is a line. And on Wednesday, that line was crossed. There was a lack of respect, and this person did not extend courtesy, kindness, and love for the diversity of our other religions. He also failed to recognize that Christians, Jews, and Islam hail from the Middle East. He failed to realize that the stories and everything in the Bible, the Torah and the Quran, happened in the Middle East. He failed to realize that our unfortunate kinship and common denominator against facing hate and bigotry in all factors of life are very true. This is what we face today at the Capitol. This is what our reality is. And I really implore you to ask, to reach out to the legislator, to ask their leadership why this was okay, why our friends decided to remain silent. There is hope. People do ask, people do reach out, and I take solace in that. And just like we did when we said the lament, it was important for me to reaffirm my commitment to interfaith work, to make sure that I legislate with a lens of compassion, of kindness, and respect to diversity on all levels. And I want you to know that that recommitment, if you will, is very much alive. And I think about that every single day when I'm voting, when I'm pushing that button, yes or no. I'm sitting in committee asking questions. But again, the people are our boss. And just like I said in the video, this is the people's house, and you have the right, not the luxury of being in that building, to hold your representatives accountable for what's said in that building. I know this isn't exactly the rainbows and unicorns that we often like to hear in these spaces, but there is a reality within our interfaith community that binds us together with a bond that is, quite frankly, unbreakable. I'm leaning on this bond right now with this request. I'm asking you to use your privilege to say that this is not okay, that we do stand with our Muslim community, that we do all have ties to the Middle East. And by that logic, we should have all been insulted on that day. I can't thank you enough for having me once again this year. Please know you have an ally at the Capitol, and that I will continue to be kind, compassionate, and respectful for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Judah, for your prophetic voice, your wise voice, your educational voice, and your powerful, unyielding voice when it comes to these issues of injustice and harm that happens among each other. So thank you for your work. And thank you to all of our legislators who are doing that good work. There is much work to be done, and your story today reminds us just how much work there is to be done and how important spaces like these are, where we can gather together and build that movement and build that work together. Thank you so much. Blessings. Adrian.
Thank you so much. Well, we have gathered today to be a prophetic voice, and that means not being all talk. That means we need action. And so I invite you to join me in a call to action that we have created. And if we could say this collectively, we're asking individuals and organizations to sign onto this call of action, and then we will make it public and distribute it to our legislators. And we will be collecting names and signatures, digital names and signatures until the end of this month. So you can use your QR code to access this, or you can go to the Colorado Council of Churches website. And we've also put a link to it. If you haven't already signed this, we highly encourage you to sign this to make our collective voice known. So the Faithful Thursdays call to action. As people of faith and spirit, we express gratitude for the work that has come before, lament the injustice that remains, and carry a vibrant hope that a just world is possible. Accordingly, the undersigned individuals and organizations make the following commitments and invite all of those of goodwill to join us in providing a public witness of our faith traditions throughout the 2022 legislative session of the Colorado General Assembly by regularly contacting our legislators, testifying at public hearings, and informing our constituencies of our public policy priorities. Collectively professing our faith values of honoring the dignity of each human being, creating a society where all are treated fairly and are given equal opportunity, caring and responsible stewardship of the earth, working towards a future where we understand our diversity to be a blessing, believing that together we are stronger than as a statewide community and we can do better in taking care of one another, working cooperatively and collectively with members of the Colorado General Assembly to enact legislation that reflects our faith values and protects the most vulnerable people in Colorado, advocating the Colorado General Assembly to create a state budget that is a moral document reflecting our faith values, advocating Colorado Governor Jared Polis to support and sign legislation that reflects our faith values and protects the most vulnerable people in Colorado. And with a spirit of grace and loving respect, holding our elected officials and public policymakers accountable for their decisions. Thank you. Now, in closing, I want to acknowledge a few people that helped make all of this possible. So first of all, we have Sonia Meager-Yeeks, who is the Zoom wizardress. Is that what the title we gave her? But anyway, she is the one that's been coordinating the live and the recorded parts of this program. Without this, we couldn't have smooth transitions. So thank you, Sonia. I also want to thank Reverend Deanna Flahive, who did a lot to help organize this program and keep us moving. So we definitely needed her as we shape this program. So thank you to all of our participants. And again, to all of our conveners who Reverend Brian Henderson mentioned in the opening. We just thank you again for making this virtual presentation of Faithful Thursdays possible. This is the closing part of our program, but if there are any members of the media who would like to follow up and ask questions, I will certainly be available, and other faith leaders will be available for several moments after this closing. And then also, if you want to linger and ask questions and reflect, we invite you to do that as well. So we will have some closing music, art, and words, and then after that, the Zoom will still be open for questions, but that concludes our program. Thank you, beloved community, for coming in this space, and blessings to all of you.